All right, so we wrote our very first test and we simply tested that we can save a customer right here. So you saw that we created a customer. So given a customer, when we save the customer, we can get the customer back. So with testing, we want to test as many scenarios as possible. And this is what we call test cases. So we know from our diagram that at some point we're going to start sending messages, right? Messages using Twilio. And also we know that when this person right here registers into our system, we have to save the name as well as the phone number. So if I go back to our test and right here, so you see that we have name and phone number. So let's go ahead and do this. So let's go ahead and simply say test. So we're going to create a new test and we're going to test this as should not save customer when, and then name is no, right? So let's just say that. So now let's go ahead and take all of this. So we're going to steal some code right here and we're going to put it here. And now, so right here, so what I'm going to do is instead of simply passing a bell as the name, I'm going to pass no right here. And now what we want is this to actually fail, right? Because it's vital for us that we have constraints in place so that we can save the correct fields, right? So we want to save the ID, name, and phone number. So now let's go ahead and simply have an assertion. So assert that. And then what we're going to do here is the following. So we're going to pretty much just say under test dot and then find by ID, pass the ID, and then simply say after that dot and then is and then not present, right? So we're going to tweak this test in a bit, but let's go ahead and simply run this. So ideally what we want is actually this test to fail right here. So now if I scroll down, you see that, so right here we have drop table if exists, and then we have create table customer, and right here ID not null. But now check this out. So name right here and the phone number can be null. So this is bad, right? So we want to tell our database schema that these columns, they should be not null because we need those columns as they are essential for our application. So what we're going to do here is the following. So go ahead and open up the customer model. And right here, let's simply go ahead and say that the name right here, so at and then column, and then inside we have nullable, and you can see that the default is, so let me actually show you again. So nullable, the default is true, but we want this to be false. So the same with phone number, at and then column, and then this will be nullable and then false, and we can even add something else. So we want the phone number to be unique, right? So if I press Command P, you see that we have unique and the default is false. So let's go ahead and simply say unique, and then this will be true, right? Because we don't want two customers with the exact same phone number. Now let's go ahead back to our test and let's simply try and run the test. So we're going to run it again. And there we go. So right here, so you can see that the test still fails, but right here we have expecting an empty an empty optional, but you can see that it still has the customer right here. So there is something funny with this annotation right here. So at data JPA test. So what we have to do is to set a property. So basically these annotations right here, they are not being triggered when we run unit tests, right? So at column nullable false. So let's go back, and right here inside of the data JPA, we can set properties, and this takes an array, so we can pass something like that. And now inside, I'm going to say spring.jpa.properties dot and then java x dot persistence dot validation and then dot mode equals to and then none. And right here I'm missing an s, just like that. So basically now those annotations will be triggered when we run these unit tests, right? So if we actually run the application, it's fine. Those constraints will be triggered. So let me actually now, so what I'm going to do is actually first show you. So I actually forgot to show you. So if I open up the console, so right here, so let me actually show you before I run this again. So right here, you see that now the drop table if exists, and then we have create table customer, and then we have ID not null, name not null. So right here, name not null, and phone number not null as well. But the validation for our annotations are not being triggered when we save the customer. So make sure to add, this part right here with this property. And now if I go ahead and run the test, and if I scroll down, you can see that it failed. But if I scroll down, now you can see that we have data integrity violation exception, not null property. And right here, if I scroll to the right, you can see that. So not null property references a null or transient value, and then this is the actual value, customer and then name. So what we're going to do is now is assert for this exception. So what I'm going to do here is actually copy this part right here, so not null, and all the way to the end. I'm going to command C on that. Now I'm going to escape or actually hide this, and now right here, so I'm going to remove that because that's not going to be the case, and this will be when, and then at the same time, and right here simply say assert and then that, and then throw, or actually thrown by, and this takes a throw-in callable. And right here I'm going to pass this lambda, and just like that, and then now I'm going to append to it. So I'm going to say dot has message containing, and then let me paste that, right? So that's the message, and then dot is instance of, so the instance of that exception, oops, wrong one. So right here, so the exception that was thrown was this one, data integrity exception. Let me collapse this again, and then dot, and then class, import that, save that, and now let's go ahead and run our test. Just give you a second, and there we go. So now we can see that it's working, right? So you could actually do the same for the phone number. So let's go ahead and simply say the same thing. So right here, should not save customer when phone number is null. So let's give a name of Alex, and then phone number null, and right here this will be phone and then number. I think that will be like that. Now let's run this again, or actually run this test. There we go. So that works, right? And there we go. So this is all for testing the creation of our customer. Next, what I want you to do is to go ahead and create a test. So I'm going to give you a bunch of exercises throughout this course. So go ahead and create a test that tests this query right here that we created. This is all for now. If you have any questions on what we've done so far, go ahead and drop me a message. But next, as I said, go ahead and create a test that tests that we can select a customer by phone number.